So what value addition beyond money? Because if I was an entrepreneur, that's what I'd be asking, right? What else can you do for me, right? What value addition does private equity bring, or can it bring? And can you give me an example of something that you have done or could do for an investee company?
Private equity only works when there is beneficial mutual interest between the parties, and when the parties, the word aligned is bandied around, but are comfortable that the other guy gets you.
Evaluating the performance of the business historically is very easy to do. Where there is a big discrepancy is the entrepreneur is always selling at the wrong time, and all the hard work that he's put in is just about around the corner and about to happen. While the buyer may believe in this, but cannot afford to overpay for future growth that may or may not happen.
I wouldn't call us kind of a venture capital or a private equity fund. What I would call us as kind of problem solvers. So when we meet with entrepreneurs and business owners, we try to figure out kind of what is the issue. If it's over leveraged, we'll figure out a solution.
But what drives us, certainly from my perspective, is to build regional businesses, champions of scale, that should be able to compete in a global arena with the best-in-class management, governance, systems, etc.
Right.
That's what drives us. In Ethiopia, the one big challenge is management, depth of talent. So we've brought one of the people we know in our own network in as the general manager of the business. He's an ex-Unilever guy, 25 years of experience, and we brought him in as a general manager, around which we are strengthening the management complement, which is a big factor in Ethiopia. We have put in substantial more capital, and as while our entrepreneur is extremely adept at knowing what the local market context is, what we've had to try to bring is context which is not necessarily well known in the Ethiopian context about how markets are evolving or opportunities for growth, particularly in branding. Pretty much, you know, he put a bottled water business, he put his daughter on the label, and the thing is flying. And he went from 0 to 40% market share in 4. So he's like, what do you mean brand strategy? What do you mean, you know, business plan? I'm just going to put something on. I got another daughter. I'm going to put her name on this thing. I'm going to do it. You know, so being able to bring a little bit of structure without killing the entrepreneurial gut instinct that is the entrepreneur.
With respect to the valuation gap, that's the elephant in the room. Obviously, the seller is always selling too cheap and the buyer is always overpaying. And so how do you bridge that in order to get the transaction over the line? And I think in order to do that, you need to find out why there is such a big difference. And I think that relates to the future as opposed to the past. Evaluating the performance of the business historically is very easy to do. Where there is a big discrepancy is the entrepreneur is always selling at the wrong time, and all the hard work that he's put in is just about around the corner and about to happen. While the buyer may believe in this, but cannot afford to overpay for future growth that may or may not happen. And that's where we have, for example, I have used in my experience something called an earn-out mechanism, which fundamentally is simply to say a portion of the proceeds will be deferred to those said performance. So put your money where your mouth is kind of approach.
I would say that there's probably two fundamental gaps on the continent. One is kind of a shortage of financial capital, and the second is a shortage of human capital. So there is a real lack of expertise. And one of the things we've done consciously as a firm is we've looked internationally to see if we can find that expertise and then figure out a way to bring it to the continent. So we've partnered with Shell, we've partnered with Vitol, BTG Pactual, Petrobras, Liberty Global, Altice, a number of international companies. And the reason why we like partnering with them is because they've done it in other markets. They bring world-class management, they bring world-class kind of intellectual property. What we bring to them is connectivity on the ground. So we have portfolio companies in 35 different countries. We have an office in Lagos. We have an office in Nairobi. We've worked with investee companies on the ground. We've developed and grown companies. So they view us as kind of the conduit to Africa. And given that we have that experience, we can then work with them to structure the marriage so that we can add a lot of value.